background.
Shamanana.
Shamanana. We're here.
Shanana.
We made it.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh my God. Guess what? It's Tuesday. It's Show Me the Money Club Live Tuesdays. It is 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Let's talk. All right. First off, Sergio, how you doing?
I'm great. To be better tomorrow morning, people, but we're going to break that later. Welcome to the #1 live stream podcast, numero uno, in the nation when it comes to the gig economy. Thank you.
I'm going to say internationally.
International. Yes, we have Australia, we have England, we have all kinds of things. So, yeah, I'm doing great, buddy. I'm going to be much better tomorrow. I'm not an expectant father. I'm an expectant father today, so my child is being delivered tomorrow.
Oh, snap. I know what it is. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week.
Oh, we're not going to talk about it.
No. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah,
we need right now it's floating around in the sky and it's being delivered tomorrow for all those people with the store.
It's in a landing pattern.
All right. Well, just to let you know, still not feeling well. So my nose and that. So if I sound a little off, I woke up this morning. I barely could talk very much. So luckily that cleared up and I'm able to talk. So we'll see what goes on there. But let's do today's rundown real quick. Let you know exactly what's going on. So you can, pay attention to what's coming, what we're talking about, all that good stuff. So first off, we're going to be talking about this Uber mystery surge. It's like a virus. It's spreading. We're seeing it in other areas. And, I'm not sure if Lyft is like tapped into Uber's code or something, but it seems like it's feeding off the same. So you know how we talked about the trees, the fungal mycelium underneath that connect each other. I think that mycelium is feeding the virus into Lyft because we're coming up with this whole thing. So pretty interesting there. We're going to be talking about that first. Then we're going to be talking about Governor Walz, how he vetoed the Minnesota driver rights bill. Let's see if Harry's coming on. I see him in chat right now. We'll see if he's coming on. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about why we think it's vetoed, a couple of things there. Then we're going to move on. Is Uber and Lyft becoming more transparent? I don't know. We'll see. We're going to be talking about a comparison between the old and the new quests. So your ride quests versus your quest goals. Joe just did a great video kind of comparing, what he's got. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about some of the driver letters that we got, some safety things to watch out for, to pay attention to. And then we're going to be talking about some funnies, ending it on a good note. So it's going to be good there. All right. So beyond that, that is our rundown. I see Harry's in the chat already. So he will be on.
Talking shit. See, he's talking shit already. See, this is the internet, people. People talk shit on the internet all the time. But he's going to be here in 20 minutes, so we're going to find out.
Oh, yeah. But first, we want to thank today's sponsor, Ualett. We had them on last week talking about what it is. It's a cash advance program for drivers. So drivers, first off, if you got your check engine light on and you put some tape over that check engine light because you hate how it stares in your face, trust me, I've been there. If you hate that and you don't want to spend the money to get your car fixed, but you still want to go out and make money, well, Ualett might be the option for you where you can get a cash advance and have it very quickly so you can go get your car worked on. Maybe you have bills coming up, something like that. Here you go. This is a little bit more on Ualett.
Rideshare driver who needs extra cash? Meet Ualett. We're a cash advance company trusted by over 90,000 drivers. We help drivers who need cash advances for paying insurance, vehicle maintenance repairs, gas money, and any of your business-related endeavors. We have an extremely fast application process, allowing you to have your money in 24 hours. It's fast, no impact on your credit score, and no credit checks. We approve your application based on cash flow from your rideshare business. Join Ualett today and never worry about being strapped for cash again.
All right, that is Ualett. So if you are in need of some money, check out Ualett. Link is going to be in the description below. And if you use Ride 10, you're going to get 10% off your first deal. So that's great right there. Sergio, I see you're repping them real quick. So if you got anything there.
No, I'm I got the code. I downloaded the app. I'm going to use it. And then maybe in 2 weeks, I'll give a full report on how the thing worked out, if there were any glitches. And I'll put the screenshots up, like, how much money I got and what did I do with it, all that good stuff. I'll probably do an article with it too. So I think it's a great tool for all gig workers, actually, to be honest with you, not just rideshare. And it's not something that you want to use, obviously, every single day, but every one of us, we're going to get sick, we'll have a cold, we can't work for a couple of weeks, bills are showing up. It's a really, really great tool to close gaps. So I'm really thrilled for them, to be our sponsor for the next 7 weeks now. First week was last week, and welcome to the family. There you go.
Yeah, and again, ride 10 for 10% off, and link is going to be in the description. And if you want more information, you can go back to last week's live and see we had a rep both from Ualett and also a Marion was a VP. Can't remember exactly, but
VP of operations.
Yes. So great to have them on and kind of talk about it, especially if you need something. So there's a couple questions we want to go over real quick before we got started. Robert, right here, he had a problem with Uber and Lyft, something where Uber let you go after 8 years, something with a background check. We recommend Larry. We've had Larry on. He does things with background checks. Go check him out. If you want, check in the search and put in background deactivations or something like that. You'll see one of Larry's videos from the Rideshare Guy pop up, and that way you can get his contact information. But you can talk to him about that, especially when it comes to a background check and there's some issues there or anything like that. So beyond that, let's get into today's show. First off, Show Me the Extra Sunshine Mile Award. We are 1 day left in May. So if you have a great story where you went above and beyond, when you were driving, when you were even delivering food, whatever it might be, if you went above and beyond, what was your story? Send it our way. Send it to Sergio at therideshareguy.com. He's going to forward that to the Sunshine Man, Jeff, who may or may not be in chat right now. If he isn't, if he is, I'm not 100% sure. Hopefully he is. But if not, one of the things that you can do is definitely get hold of Sergio, share some screenshots, whatever it is. And then, you can win $100 for your going above and beyond story when it comes to rideshare or even food delivery.
He's here.
Oh, there he is.
we're interrupting his dinner. So anyway, so actually we had a late entry yesterday.
Well, we have literally until tomorrow.
We have 1 day. Yeah, we have 1 day left, but we had a very strong entry yesterday, Chris. Very strong. Strong. So,
well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I love hearing the competition. I love hearing the goodness because it's a world full of crap and a world full of hate and a world full of a lot of bad things. So if we can try to make it a little better, then even better. So yes, the Show Me the Extra Mile Sunshine Award. You pretty much have until tomorrow to get into May's drawing, and then we will be doing this in June. So if you got another great story or something like that, then we'll talk about that. But if you want to get in for this month, and you got some stiff competition with yesterday's entry, so we'll see what happens, and then we'll see what Jeff has to say because he makes the final decision.
Yep, Jeff is making the final decision. Out of the blue, we got a competitor, and it's like a horse race, and then right at the end, nip it by the nose. I'm like, but no, I was we'll see. Jeff is going to decide. So I think Jeff has done great last 2 months, right? First we had Nathaniel, then we had John from Louisville, Kentucky, both amazing, deserving winners. So this month will be no different. There we go.
All right. Let's get right in today's first topic. And that is, first off, Jeff, thank you. Watch the replay. Just wanted to say thanks for what you do. Never give up. Fight. Good luck, Jeff.
Wow. Jeff, thank you. Now, before he's a old, good friend of the show, obviously. Not because of the super chats, but we've used a lot of his wisdom, and we even done a video with him. He's having triple bypass tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. So everybody, wish him well. I'm sure he's going to go through, it with no problems. The other thing is, Jeff, I was hoping to break the good news to you today, but you have to wait. When you come out of it, then you will see what we did here. And if you are proud today, you'll be much more proud, tomorrow. But everybody wish Jeff speedy recovery. He's gonna do just fine, and we're gonna miss you for a week or two. But then I'm sure we'll see your name in the chat soon. So thumbs up to Jeff. Thank you again.
Yep. Good luck, Jeff, with everything. All right, let's get into the first topic, and that is this mystery surge. So if you're able to see the screen, whether you're listening or not, if you can take a look at the screen, basically you see the surge map for Uber, but it doesn't show you any of the flat rate surges. It doesn't show you the multiplier surge if you're lucky enough to get the glitch. It just shows the little surge icon with nothing there. So we talked about this originally when it came in Central and Western Florida, and it seemed like it was kind of just confined to there. But now more places are getting it, like Cleveland, Ohio, and a couple other places. So yeah, you can see if you're watching, if you're looking, you'll be able to see that. So Sergio, it looks like you had a little bit of a issue there too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, this is like, you blame me to give you the virus through the internet.
Yeah, what the hell?
I got you
Uber's
sick,
giving the
right?
virus all over the place too.
Yeah, so this is the same thing, right? So this virus is spreading now. First it was west coast of Florida, then it showed up in LA, now it's in Cleveland, Ohio, then it went to Jersey. So I'm talking like this thing is spreading. Now, on last time we talked about this, we put up the support chat. They're saying that, yeah, we know about it, we're working on it, it's a glitch. Now, Uber, I know Harry's here, so you must be watching because Harry is here today. So this is not a glitch. A glitch is fixed by 33,000 coders in probably a day or two max. This seems like it's taking over your system and it's spreading like a wildfire, even to my backyard. I don't like it. I don't want it. Not that the surge is anything meaningful these days, Chris, because it's all, it's all like included in the fare now. I'm like high surge, low fare, high surge. It's like BS. But this is the next level of hocus pocus. Not only we're going to surge bait you, right? Because when you turn the app on, if I'm under 10, I'm going to get 4. This is the next level of hocus pocus, which is we don't even know now. Now we're not going to even know if we got surge baited or not, right? And here goes, Uber says the heat map highlights surge areas. Yeah, we know that. More intense color indicates higher levels of surge. No shit. And you'll know it's a surge fare. There's a surge icon, but it doesn't talk about the $sign at all now. Now, is this the new thing, Chris? You think this is the new thing? This is what?
Well, here's the thing. If they have that note in there saying that, where it says it's a surge fare when there's a surge icon on your trip request, that plus that whole thing right there just leads me to show that is by design. That is nothing but design written on it.
Yep. Yeah, and then my in-app email, right? Say, Sergio, okay, Uber. A technical issue may have prevented you from seeing the driver surge heat map yesterday. Okay, and this issue is fixed, and you can now continue to check the driver surge heat map for areas of high demand. Well, sir, it's not happening. So when I put out 3-4 different states, we need to, whoever else has this, by the way, in the country, please send me the screenshots like these people did. Sergio@therideshareguy.com. We don't want this, seriously. Now, I get, upfront fares is bad enough. We definitely do not want this. I mean, this is the next level of lack of transparency, as if they were transparent enough. This is the next level, and I don't want this. This is bullshit. So, I am disappointed that 33,000 coders at Uber couldn't fix this. Not only they couldn't fix it, but they're spreading now to different states and different cities. When that happens, look, I've been with Uber for 7 years, since 2015, late 2015, almost 8 years now. In Uberland, there are no glitches. There are intentional glitches, and sometimes once in a while there are truly glitches. But this does not look like something that is not intentional. This looks pretty intentional to me.
Yep,
And driving in
agree.
the dark was what we fought against all years, not knowing destination and all that stuff. Now it's like driving in the dark when it comes to surge. So I think you
But
guys need to fix
Sergio,
this.
what does it matter anymore? Because you see the price up
That's
front.
true too. Yeah, yeah.
But
That's
here's
true.
here's the thing. Honestly, it does matter because the biggest thing is not that surge isn't there or isn't being shown. The biggest thing is that it's being tied into the base rates. So base rates are adjusting based on the surge that's attached to that particular ride. That to me, I think, is the bigger issue here. Both of them are huge issues nonetheless, and I don't want to discredit one over the other. But this is something that really needs to be called out 100%. And again, if you have some little thing, a little blurb that pops up that says surge pricing in effect, and it tells you this thing, that just to me screams this is something that they're testing out and is intentional. And then the question is, are they testing it out to see what drivers will say and then say, oh, it's a glitch, and then they go back, but they still keep it in there and then they roll it out down the road? Or what's going on here? So that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, well, that plus, think about, all these search chips that you're doing, right? Okay, we know for a fact, this is not mystery, that when Uber is charging the passenger, they charge it with the old multiplier system, okay? They charge them 2x, 2.5x, 3x on the trip. In turn, they turn around and give you a flat rate surge, or penny surge, I used to call it, which is what it is, right? So it's a dollar surge. So when you charge somebody with a multiplier and pay with a dollar surge, now you take away the transparency of what kind of dollars we're talking about here. This is bogus. This is unacceptable. I mean, to me, please send me this more screenshots. Maybe we'll just package it, give it to Harry to send it to his buddies at Uber. So, maybe we can fix it.
Maybe. But here's the other side of the coin. Like I said, the trees speak to each other. And there's this great Netflix documentary that came out, I believe, in 2019 or something. It's like Magical Fungi or something like that. Don't quote me. I don't remember the name of it. Or Fantastic Fungi. But yeah, they talk about the mycelium, and that's basically like the little roots that kind of connect all the trees and plants together. So yeah, beyond that, there could be a little bit of mycelium going from Uber to Lyft, because if you look at this screenshot, this is showing pretty much the exact same thing. You're in a $7.50 bonus zone, but I don't see anything around there. Do you?
I don't see a red. I don't see the purple pink cloud there either. So
yeah,
I'm going to let Lyft slide easier than Uber, because Uber's is spreading now. Now, next week, if people send me the same thing, do you notice, by the way, Cleveland, Ohio is the same, right? I mean, same city.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah.
You see that? So I'm going like, I honestly didn't even want to put it in there, because we're trying to build a bridge with Lyft that we burned like many, many times.
Well, so, they get called out.
But when I saw Cleveland, I go like, never mind.
Yeah, it's I don't know. But yeah, if you're seeing this issue or anything, hit up Sergio at therideshareguy.com. We can see more. Let's move on to our next subject today, and that is Minnesota. We had them be able to pass this bill in their government, legislators, and then it went to the governor's desk, where the governor vetoed it. And trust me, Uber was going hardcore at trying to get it. Every possible avenue they took. Oh, you're going to become employees. Oh, we're going to pull out of Minnesota altogether, except we're going to stay in, the big city, and that's it. We're going to stay in the Twin Cities and everybody else. The question is, are they telling the truth or are they lying? But before we get into that, we have a guest. Harry, the rideshare guy, is right here. What's going on, Harry?
What's up, guys? Just got out of Uber's headquarters and, made it on over to the live chat just in time. So thanks for having me on.
Hollywood Harry is here. Hold on a second. So Chris, do you know that
was a joke, by the way, for everyone.
Do you know that you don't have a life, Chris?
Hey, he was talking to you.
No,
I wasn't talking shit to Chris, just Sergio.
Oh, just me. Okay, all right. So yeah, you know why I don't have a life? Because you will proudly read in LA Times tomorrow how many hundreds of millions of dollars we got gig workers. Then you'll figure out why I don't have a life. But you know what? I'm willing to exchange whatever I have left for gig workers' benefits. So now, welcome to the show, Harry. What brings you here?
Thanks for having me on. No, I think I wanted to come on because I think the Minnesota bill was a good example where honestly, I think both sides, like Uber and Lyft, obviously, they're saying, oh, we're going to pull out, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then, but a lot of the supporters of the bill, I think, were pretty way off too, saying that like, oh my God, we can get paid more. Nothing's going to change. Everything's going to be great. Right. And I think that's also bullshit. So I think for me, I'm probably somewhere in the middle and just wanted to sort of share that perspective. And yeah, probably will come off a bit as defending Uber. So I'm happy to defend Uber, not everything they said or did in regards to this bill, but, I'm happy to provide that perspective and, we can argue and we'll see if you can convince me by the end of the 15 minutes. I know you like to talk, so maybe I'll be able to get at least a word or two.
You just wasted a minute, didn't say anything. So hold on a second. So I said, you put a video out short. I put a short out. Did you read the bill? You said you didn't read the bill because you.
I didn't read the bill.
If you didn't read the bill, why even put the video out? But that's a different story. So
Well, do you think most people read the bill?
This was Harry. Hold on. This was a carbon copy of Seattle. I'm going to keep it short. I know I like to talk, but this was the carbon copy of Seattle, except that there was one huge difference, one massive difference, which will require for you to read the bill to understand why this is why it happened, why the guy vetoed the bill. It wasn't because of high rates. Look, Uber has raised their rates around the country by 30-40%. Yipit data. I pay Yipit data $600 a month to get like live data out of.
You do?
Yeah, absolutely. I do. Some of your money I spent it on that, but just to get the feel of what's happening, right?
Probably get
and you know who they are. So if you don't believe their, the numbers, then it's a different story. But they have done this. They have played this boo-hoo-hoo game for too long for me, for my liking. Meaning we're going to either pull out. Okay, you're not going to pull out, but when time came to share the wealth with the drivers, which is raising the fares a little bit, it seemed like they don't like that. However, the biggest difference, Harry, in between Seattle and Minnesota was the bill, first of all, got watered down. It started at $2.25 and 60 cents.
What's the biggest difference?
The biggest difference, can you put that screenshot up, Chris? The one with the bill where it says Section 8?
This one right here?
That's right there. So where it says Section 8, Harry, if you can read that, the line item 613 to 617. You know what the Minnesota drivers did not give that Seattle drivers gave and got the high rates and all the benefits?
Right.
They did not give their right to unionize, and they did not give their right for collective bargaining. And Uber does
I think it was more that they, the other bills that we've seen, like in places in Washington, basically said in California, drivers are going to get some additional benefits, but they are going to be designated by the law as independent contractors.
Yes,
right. That's the only thing.
By this, they did not give it up. And then
right, and that's the main thing that the companies care about, right?
Yep.
Like they feel.
I think it was a strategic mistake. They shouldn't have given that up and got the higher rates and build on it.
I agree.
I
think the sort of proponents of this bill got a little too aggressive. I think that they could have passed this bill if they would have said that, drivers are independent contractors and they get the higher rates and the deactivation. I think they got too aggressive. And let's be frank, Minnesota, we've got our buddy Joe in Minnesota, but this is not a top tier market, right? So Uber is, willing to be more aggressive there. Like, I don't know for sure that they would have pulled out, but I do think it, if it would have passed, it would have been a pretty bad precedent for the companies and they would not have liked that, right? Because they were basically giving up a lot but not getting anything.
Well, they actually from where the bill started, just to pass the Senate, they had a workers' comp part in this bill. They took that out as well. Basically, they watered the bill down from much higher rates, literally $2.25 and 60 cents down to $1.45 and 34 within the Twin Cities area. And they took out the last second to pass the Senate. They took out the workers' comp part. So basically, they watered it down to higher rates than before. And on just the activation protection. They passed the Senate that way, and then, of course, we know what happened. The governor vetoed it. But I think they made a huge strategic mistake. The mistake was what Seattle drivers did not do, which was, yes, we are going to give the independent contractor rights, and we're going to stay independent. We're not going to form a union. And most drivers, want to stay independent anyway. I mean, we do our surveys, as 80%, 70% want to stay independent. If they had done that, we would not be talking about this today. However, they made a strategic mistake. They pushed a little bit on that. And Uber used all the tools in the arsenal, as you saw, you're going to become an employee. That's exactly why they put that.
Well, let's look at the screenshot. What does it say?
It says Uber will operate as normal throughout Minnesota. Which was this
Governor
was right
Walz
after
vetoed bill that would
when
have
this was
doubled the
after.
cost of rideshare. I mean, so I think we both would agree the cost would have gone up, right? Obviously, if they're paying drivers more, the
Yeah.
cost to passengers will go up, right?
Well,
Is
that's
it
other
double? I don't know, but it will go up, right?
Well, it will go up. However, you know what? I thought you were going to bring Josh Gold or Freddie Goldstein with you because they have the data. Do you have the data? Can we get the data truly? Because every single time, all they say
I don't
is,
think we need the
fares are
data.
going to
Just
go up.
use
Fares
your
are going to
common
go up.
sense, right? If drivers get paid more, they obviously have to charge passengers more. You think Uber's going to take less money? They're
Nope.
barely profitable.
I agree, but you know, the only place that we have a precedent on this is Seattle and Washington State. I would really love to know, not to argue with you or make a point. I would really love to know what has happened in Seattle over the last 18 months since they had the higher rates. Has the demand collapsed? Has it gotten crushed? I mean, what's happening? Are drivers making more money? What is their utilization rate? Uber knows all this. I don't know why they
Yeah.
won't release it, because all they do is,
mean-
rates are going to go up. You're going to lose your flexibility. You're going to lose your freedom. I get that. But show me the money.
I
Where's
don't think
the
they
proof? Where's the
need
data?
to. I mean, I guess if I'm putting myself in Uber's shoes, I don't think they need to make a compelling case. That's my point, right? I think that
But
both
it's hearsay.
sides are sort of saying, oh, Uber's saying, oh, costs are going to go way up. Like, I'm agreeing with you right now. Double the cost of rideshare? I don't know. That seems
No.
extreme to me. I think increase the cost of rideshare would be a 100% accurate statement. Double.
No doubt. And you know what? I'll give you that.
You
Harry,
don't know. I don't know. And I mean, when you think about it too, right, there's a certain number, like let's go back to, a year ago before the bill passed in Washington, right? There was a certain number of drivers, there were a certain number of rides happening every day, and there was already an existing growth rate, right? Let's say the market was recovering by, 5%, right? They were still trying to get back to pre-COVID numbers, right? So there's like a lot of different factors. So I think even if you had the data, I think it would be really hard, to still parse and understand like, hey, was this, was it at a 5% growth rate and now it's at 3%, right? Because of that increase in fares. But we also had this huge thing for 3 years called COVID, right? Where, that like impacted things. So I don't know. I think you're like hoping for the data, but the data isn't always, black and white, and it isn't always
I get that.
abundantly clear.
I fully get that, but
Like,
we had.
I don't know who Michael is, but I appreciate you chiming in. He says we saw no change in ride count. Do we know that? I mean, maybe because
Well,
that's
in his personal, maybe in his personal case, we don't know. But we had the Seattle driver Walt, twice on. He said demand is really not down as far as his personal numbers are concerned. And the important thing is, he goes, I'm making a little bit more money online time, but my overall profitability is through the roof, meaning he's driving less miles, he's doing less trips.
So I think
he's making more money.
that's a good point. I think that seems like a good thing to me, right? So if they are paying, higher in the state of Washington, as long as it's not too much. I guess like for example, what were they paying in Washington and what did it bump up to, and how does that compare to Minnesota?
Washington rates literally doubled. Actually, they had an inflation adjustment January 1 of this year, another one. So at the moment, they're $1.50 a mile and 64 cents a minute. Just on the minute side, they're at $40 an hour. Okay. And utilization rates acceptance rates are running about 93% on average from all the Seattle drivers that I've spoken to, because there's no reason to decline at those rates. Why would I decline any trips, right? And the other thing that's happening is utilization is a little bit lower. They said their own personal ones, again, not overall, right? They're at like 63, 64% versus 70%. But the rates are almost 60%, 70% higher than what they used to have.
Yeah.
Now,
I not to interrupt. I see a comment in here from Sans Alchemy. Some other channel was saying the same thing. Increasing the prices would oversaturate the market, right? Like at a certain point, right? If you increase the rates, right, there is a certain point where that would have a negative impact on demand and bring too many drivers onto the platform, right? If drivers are making, let's say $15 to $20, $15 to $25 an hour in Minnesota right now, you increase the rates by double and they make 50% more. Okay. Is that enough to start? Now it's like looking like a pretty good job, right? If you can make 22 to $40 an hour. I just shared a screenshot of a driver with you who did 50 hours last week in Detroit. I think it's kind of a comparable market maybe to Minnesota. I don't know Midwest East too well. He made over $2,000. He made $50 an hour, and that was last week in Minnesota, right? So,
but let's not mix that up. All I'm saying to you is that yes, oversaturation is what Uber wants anyway from the first day. Look. They have demand. I mean, my biggest concern is when they do the crying game, they go, oh, rates are going to go up, flexibility is going to go down, your demand is going to go down. I get that. That elasticity when it comes to,
Yeah.
You know what you can charge a passenger is important. However, have they been charging? I mean, you're in LA, you take a lot of Uber tips, I'm sure. Have they been charging a lot more in LA over the last 3 years, since 2019, since they went public? Yes, they are. 30 to 40%. I mean, I take Uber trips, the same 10-mile trip that I used to take that was $10, now it's $20. I mean, it is a fact. And now when time comes to share the wealth with the drivers, they're just kind of really pushing hard not to do it.
Yeah.
And you watch their numbers, their global take rate 29% at all-time highs. That doesn't happen with charge a lot, pay as little as you can.
I think you're right. No, the data has shown, that Uber is charging more per ride. Passengers are still taking rides and they're still going. But yeah, the companies aren't really sharing the wealth. So I think then you and I are on the same page. Uber can charge, let's say up to 50% more on the rides and potentially pass that on, that some of those earnings on to drivers so that they make more without a huge impact on demand. Eventually, if they pay 2, 3, 4x, right?
No,
Like if they raise the rates
that's not what they're asking for, though.
right.
That's
I
not
know.
what they're
I'm just saying, right, that would be the limit. Maybe there's some limit where, if they start doing too much, then more drivers would come onto the platform.
Of course.
I think the key thing in Minnesota was that, I think they got too aggressive, right? And that they didn't ask for that independent contractor status.
Yep.
I'm curious for everyone talking shit in the chat right now, if, they would have supported the bill in the exact same way, with the rates and with the deactivation, if it also said that drivers, were going to remain independent contractors. I feel like that would have been a bill that I would have been 100% behind.
I think that's the strategic error that they made. And I'm
kind of behind the bill as it is, to be honest. I think it's just more that I thought it wasn't going to pass because of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, but no, you didn't know that about the Section 8 part, right? Because I was like scratching my head. I go, they watered this thing down so much.
No, I didn't know about that part. That was the one thing I did know about the bill.
Yeah, well, okay. So my thing always was like, okay, higher rates are good for drivers, unjust deactivation is good, but they watered it down a lot. They felt like they gave up a lot, right? Because literally, if you read the original bill, it has so many more things in there that I go, there's not a chance this thing is going to pass.
Well, I mean, that's typical negotiating. You ask for a lot, they ask for nothing, and then you meet somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah, but on the oversaturation part, by the way, I agree with you that
hasn't oversaturation been a big complaint from drivers over the past year? I see AppRide saying they have too many drivers in every market. That's why people complain so much.
That's macroeconomics, Harry. That's macroeconomics. That has nothing to do with higher rates.
Let's say in Minnesota, if they were to increase the rates, right, wouldn't that bring more? Now people can potentially make more. Wouldn't that bring more drivers on the road?
Potentially, but as you know, our crowd is very transitory. People do it for 4 months and close their gaps and then go back to a W-2 or whatever they do. I mean, to me, what is it? Uber says 20% of rideshare drivers are full-timers, right? That depend for their whole livelihood to this.
Yeah.
Or gig workers, right? So to me, it's like, that's not really that big of a deal. I mean, oversaturation ebbs and flows. And right now it's at a peak because of macroeconomic conditions. Inflation is hard. I'm just concerned that, look, the drivers lost 2 battles last month and a half. One was in Colorado, which was the transparency bill, which 2 Democrats went against the Democratic sponsored bill. And this one now, a Democratic governor issuing a veto, first veto, in his career against the Democratic sponsored bill. Now, my downside of this is, if we cannot pass these things, what can we pass as drivers? How can we fight? But then,
this wasn't a good bill. They screwed up. The proponents of this bill screwed up. They got way too aggressive.
Well, aggressive being like, how's that really? I mean, I don't know. They watered it down so much. They're only left with 2 things.
Really? I think if they would have gotten higher per mile, per minute rates, and then the deactivation, I think that would have been 2 pretty huge wins. I mean, that's,
I agree with you. On that one, I agree with you. But because they, them wanting to unionize or not giving collective bargaining rights broke the back of the camel, and that's what happened. And now there is a commission, we did another commission, like a hole in the head, right? I mean, now they're going to study it again until 2024. Now we're going to sit down and talk again. The Seattle model was almost there, and then they didn't give up the, independent contractor stuff, and, they failed. And I'm disappointed, but I think war goes on. There are a lot of these bills coming up, Harry. I know you don't follow this stuff as closely as you used to, but there's bills in Illinois now. There's bill in
I follow it all pretty closely. I mean, I think the crux of it is the companies all want independent contractor status, And, I mean, you can agree or disagree with that part, but that's what the companies are fighting for, and that's what they want. And they're willing to give up some. In California, they sort of gave up, more of a guaranteed earnings, right? So they guarantee pay during periods 2 and 3. And, in New York City, which is kind of unique, right? They sort of do an actual minimum wage based off utilization. But, like I said, in New York City, right, that model, I guess to me, like, I just want everyone to understand, right, that like right now in the current system, like if you're making it work and doing really well, like anytime they dumb it down, right, like anytime they create a floor, that's going to help other drivers and hurt some drivers, right?
Well,
So,
point,
I
yeah.
mean, I think that just have to understand, right? Like when they flip to flat rate surge pricing, right? Now it's like, okay, longer trips aren't as good. Now you got to do short. You have to, sort of like no one's going to save you. You know what I mean? You got to figure this out on your
part
own.
of it, that part of it we do here really well, inform and educate, and then you got to make your own decisions. That's the governor's excuse that he put out there, that few hundred people whose rides are paid for, actually, when you do
That's bullshit. It was
that's
because
bullshit.
Uber and
Complete
Lyft were
bullshit.
lobbying super hard behind the scenes,
super
and
hard.
I think I mean that's why.
Yeah. So and all this stuff helps. By the way, their huge power is obviously being able to push whatever they want to push through the app, to the drivers and the passengers simultaneously, and that's a huge advantage. And maybe we should create our own RSG app and push messages to drivers constantly.
I mean, I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, it's their drivers, their users. They can say whatever the hell they want to them, whether it's true or false. I mean, I think it's on, drivers, passengers, or us, to call them out on their bullshit, right? Like you're at risk of becoming an employee, right? There was nothing that said, drivers would become employees, right? So that I don't agree with. The bill would double the cost of rideshare. We know that's not true, but it might, increase the cost of rideshare.
There's a lot of mays and mights in their language, obviously, which they have to keep it that way. But when they talk
I don't think
about,
there are actually a lot of. I think there should be more mays and might. It says you're at risk. I mean, at risk, I guess, but it says this bill would double the cost of rideshare. I don't think that's true,
no,
right?
well, but you know why, Harry? Though, why one thing that I really have to stay with the community here is this. We do our surveys. What is the top complaint when it comes over the last 5 years? What has been the top complaint? Earnings, right?
Yeah.
Now people go earnings. This was a chance to get more earnings. I'm not sure why they didn't give up the collective bargaining rights. I don't know. And I think that would have been a good start. You have something of then nothing. Right now they have nothing. They're back to square one, right? And I'm like, now it's tough to build some, same momentum, because you had momentum and then you didn't keep it. Now I have a quick question before you go.
Well, let me just wrap up. Let me just wrap up, Sergio. I guess what I would say is, like, I like this bill. I think that they just screwed up by not asking for independent contractors. Like, I want drivers to get paid more. And so to me, it's more about like, hey, next time this type of bill comes up, like, do a better job, right? Like that's sort of, I think, what like is kind of missing from the conversation, right?
So you're admitting that you were wrong. You did not read the bill, number one. Number two,
I'm admitting that I did not read the bill. Am I admitting? What was I wrong?
Okay, what else? Okay, you said today you said you didn't read the bill, but then you put the video out saying that there is minimum wage floor, this and that, which was not factual. But I know
you're right. That part I was wrong about. I think the point though that I was trying to make was basically, if you pay drivers more, that's a good thing. There may be less rides, but I think what you're saying, and I think what you've kind of convinced me of, is you're right, that they're probably like, I would rather risk it. You know what I mean? Like, let's pay drivers more and see what happens. And if it turns out that there's way less rides, and then Uber, brings the data to prove that or show that, then that's on them. So,
because
like, to me,
until they bring the data about, fares are going to double and demand is going to get crushed. That's hearsay too.
You're going to be waiting a long time for that, so don't get your hopes up for that anytime soon.
I get it, but that's hearsay. So hold on.
I would say this bill, like, to me, okay, that you've convinced me. That makes sense. I'm on your side. These guys fucked up. They should have done a better job, though, pushing, I think if they would have done independent contractor, the bill would have passed. Drivers in Minnesota would have been getting paid more. And that's sort of what I want our audience to hear, is like, hey, if you're going out, like, if you really want to be employee, that's fine. You should fight for that. If you really want higher pay and, to be prevented from being unfairly deactivated, you should have pushed for a bill like this, but with independent contractor enshrined in the legislation. You'll get paid more and have deactivation protections.
I agree on that one for sure. And okay, so did you read the comments on the video that you put up on Friday?
Yeah, they basically all attacked me and said Uber was paying me this and that, but not one single comment actually had an argument period as to why
Okay,
I
but
was
hold
wrong.
on, hold on, hold on. We have 1 minute.
Try to,
Okay, hold on.
I
Do
don't know,
you
you
follow
gotta do a
their?
better job of
Do you
informing your
follow
audience,
DK on
Sergio.
Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what? I know. I'm sure he's not running his own Twitter account. Somebody's
I
doing it.
think he does.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you
So
can sort of tell by the tweets he
I looked
does.
at the percentage of shit comments you got versus shit comments he gets when he tweets. It was about equal. You guys are about 98%.
Okay. What's the point?
No, I'm just saying. It's like you guys are at that level that you unilateral hate. It's like, look at Harry. We're trying to build a community here. You put a video like that, and then I go like, now I have to respond to this guy. It's like, why? Why am I doing this? Right? You are for the drivers. Why don't you say it to all our viewers here? I am for the drivers. Go ahead, say it.
Obviously, I'm for the drivers. I've run a channel and a blog called The Rideshare Guy for the past 10 years where we've, paid out lots of money to people like Sergio who are very expensive and Chris, and then supported the
What?
community. Don't we give out 100? I don't know. Every time we do a show, thousands of dollars come out of my bank account with Amazon gift certificates and $100 this and that.
$25. The guy just put $50, bro. Come on, the guy just $50 super chat before you showed up. That's
Yeah, I
just
know. What?
paid
He's
for
about to
those
do
two
surgery.
anyway.
Why is he paying us? I feel like we should be helping him out.
Yeah, exactly. He's having triple
So let me
bypass
give you a
surgery
good
tomorrow.
example. Hopefully these aren't like your top fans because like Stranger Things, Harry, you need to stop being Uber's robot. First of
Yeah.
all, you know what I mean? It's just like the arguments are so weak, right? Like, oh, Harry, you're being paid by Uber. Like, feel free, if you have a problem with, the actual substance of the argument. I mean, I know it's YouTube and, commenters on the internet, so I'm not having high hopes. But, when I discuss it, when I discuss issues, that's sort of the type of conversation I want to have, right? I want to talk more about like, hey, what's the actual substance of the bill? Like, how might this help? How might this not? Why is Uber full of shit? Why are, some of the proponents of the bill, like, well, why are some of them full of shit? Or what could they have done better? So the next time around, right? Like, I want the next bill that gets brought to a state. Like, I would love to see independent contractor enshrined higher pay for drivers and deactivation, a third-party deactivation center. That to me seems, really positive for the drivers. And I mean, I think I was the one who, put a spotlight on Seattle, on Washington. I had Kareem from the Office of, Labor Standards on my podcast. And, then we set up a couple of them to come on Show Me the Money Club. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I you know what, Harry, I'm going to say it, and then I'll get bombed for this probably. Look, Harry is not an Uber shill. He's, he is Uber friendly. A lot of his comments are. However, there was one comment that, we need to highlight before we kick.
I like this Armando comment. All right, Harry, we're all being paid by Uber, just not enough.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Trust me.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Like
that's
everyone
what I said
else,
last week.
I'm fine to sell out, but it's going to have to be for a hell of a lot more. How about that?
For a hell of a lot more. Okay, so Harry, thank you for coming on. So I convinced you of one thing at least, which is good, because you're not an easy man to convince. And please don't put out videos like that again, okay? We just lost like 1,000 subs because of you. Just get out.
Well, hopefully we'll get you a few back more.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
All right,
by
guys,
the way, we would have hit 150 for today because of that. Now we're like struggling. Now, come on, man.
All right, show me the data where you're pulling these numbers out of your ass. Because I don't believe this for 1 second.
Tell him we're like 200 short now.
All right, well, show me the data.
It's almost a 150. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually data that we have, Sergio. So now I'm going to call you on it. Now I need you to send me the data, and if not, you owe me $50. How about that?
Oh.
Ooh, $50.
and if you're right, I'll pay you 100.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right. So
I know I'll never see
don't
that
be an
data.
Uber shill, Harry. Come on now. Come on, man. Come on, man. Join the community, man. Join the driver community. You know what? Do a few trips. How about this? And in fact, what we should do between me and you, we should do we should both go do 30 trips.
A little
And then
driver
we should do a race.
competition. That's
We
not
should
a
do a
bad
race.
idea.
All Uber X. You have
See
a
if
Tesla.
I still got it.
I will run laps around you, bro. Let's go.
Well, that's why you get the big bucks.
That's right. All right. Much love. See you. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
See you later.
All right. See you, Harry. Thanks. All right. That was an interesting little conversation between you two. I kind of kept out of that because my throat's bothering me a little bit right now, so I'm trying to drink a little bit of water. But
he's
Any last things to talk about when it came to
No,
this
I
particular
think
bill?
I honestly, now that we put all that up, why it got vetoed. Look, uh, we do a lot of good things here. One of the things that we do is we read a lot, we learn a lot, we try to educate and talk about things. Some people will like it, some people will not. People with open minds, you have to understand there are deeper issues than just taking one side or the other. Taking one side or the other is an easy way out. Doing something about it is completely different story. So I invite you all to read your LA Times wherever you are on the planet tomorrow, and then you guys will see what we're doing here. Okay. Number two, honestly, if I did not read the whole bill as a nerd that I am, or Prop 22, or Seattle bill, or the New York City bill, I wouldn't know any of this stuff. So education is power. I know I'm educated, and I connected the dots. I go, well, they left that number 8 in there. Uber said, adios. And there you go. Now they got nothing. They got nothing, or they could have had something really good to start with, just like Seattle did. They're building on it. They're building on it. Now, a month and a half ago, they got more healthcare rights. So either you go this way with these companies, or you go the other way. You can't just say, pay me more, but I also want to have a union, but I also want collective bargaining rights. You got to give something to get something. And they didn't give enough. And Uber said, you know what? Screw that. We're not going to do it. We're going to go buy the governor. And, whatever happens to that guy happens later during the elections. And, look, man, lastly, we lost as drivers. We lost 2 wars that were very easy to win. But then, we lost 2 battles, and then we're going to continue with the war. All I'm saying is that, if you don't fight, if you don't call your legislature, I wonder how many of you people who are in Minnesota called your legislatures and said something about it, as opposed to read those messages in your app and got scared and did nothing about it. So you need to get your voices out. I'm here to amplify your voices, but you need to get your own individual voices out. That's the only way we can do it, okay? And go read, go educate yourself. Don't just believe something some guy on YouTube says, or some guy on TikTok says, or even what I say. Go, and my stuff is factual, but go educate yourself and then agree with me or don't agree with me or other people, channels, whatever. But please, education is key. Go educate yourselves. And
well, one last thing I want to harp on before we wrap this little segment up is these couple of screenshots here. So what it says is Twin Cities service will be also reduced, and then it's talking about the state legislator passing the bill. And then it says you're at risk of becoming an employee. And then it says service reduction expected. Again, same thing. Now, here's the question I have for you. Do you think that these are lies, or do you think that this was them actually gearing up to say, hey, we're actually going to pull out, or, we're giving you as far to the tip of the furthest we can go of it being somewhat true, or having the possibility of it true, or it being a flat up lie, but with a realm of truth in it, like the risk of becoming an employee, where again, there was nothing in there that said for or against when it came to employmentship. That was just something that they were harping on because it didn't specifically say in the bill that you continue to keep independent contracting status, and it has the collective bargaining aspect in there. So what do you think on this? Do you think that they were, huffing and puffing, or do you think that this was actually they were actually gearing up to do something?
No, well, on the employee part, I think they were all huffing and puffing because, Caro, thank you for the super chat. Thank you again. No, on the employee part, definitely. They're huffing and puffing. On the other part, service reduction expected. I'm not buying that. They're not going to pull out of anywhere. Although Minnesota is not a huge market, they're not going to pull out of anywhere that's going to create some sort of revenue shortfall for themselves. I think, honestly, the employee part, I'm not buying whatsoever. Now, I really, when people say your rates are going to go up, you're going to lose your flexibility, you're going to lose your freedom. I actually can only compare this apples to apples comparison. There is only one state and city in the country that we can compare this, model, which is Seattle and in general Washington State. Please, Uber, put the numbers up. Say, because then it becomes completely hearsay and nobody believes what they're saying. Oh, you're going to lose flexibility. Oh, rates are going to go up 50, 80, 100% on the passengers. Oh, demand is going to get crushed. I get it. But you can't keep saying the same thing and not showing me evidence. There's one place and one place only in the whole country that has this for 18 months now. Let's see what the trend is there. Let's see if demand is getting crushed over there with the bad economy, with the inflation that it is. I can compare it to Seattle and Washington State and say, no, what you're saying is not true. Although Washington State and Seattle is not, Minneapolis and Minnesota. I get that. However, price elasticity, Chris, works in a way that the higher you raise your fares, the demand is going to go down. That's basic economics. I get that. I have an economics degree. I get it, finance degree. But when the time comes to share the wealth, because you've been raising rates all over the nation 30 to 50% since 2019, and you're keeping most of it. I'm not saying all of it, but most of it. And when the time came this time to share the wealth with the drivers, yes, you had to raise the fares, but maybe you weren't going to keep all 50% that you were going to raise. Maybe you were only going to keep 20% and give the drivers 30%. They didn't want that either. So to me, them continuously saying rates are going to go up, scare tactics, the world is coming to an end, hell is about to freeze over. I'm not buying any of this shit.
Yeah,
show me the
here.
numbers. Show me what happened in Seattle. If demand got crushed by 20, 30, 40%, like you were afraid in Minneapolis and Minnesota, then okay, but you cannot continuously play the same game, and they play it well.
Well, here's the problem. They can play that game, and they do, because it works. Because let's be real, most people are tied to emotions and feelings. And this was a direct attack to the emotion and the feeling of an individual, saying your rates are going to rise, which means it's going to put economic harm possibly at you by having rates rise if you're a passenger. It's going to make you an employee, something that drivers don't want. Like we said, the overwhelming majority of drivers want to remain independent contractors where you can go on and offline, whatever. You want that flexibility. So yeah, I think when you appeal to that feeling side and that emotional side, the facts may not matter when it comes to it. And you get that saying, facts don't care about your feelings, but on the flip side, feelings don't care about facts.
Yep.
And that's one of the things. So if people can look at it and remove the emotional side of it, remove the feeling side of it, and look at it as, is this actually going to be true in terms of the data and what the data shows versus what I think it's going to be, or what it feels like it could be, or what I'm stretching the truth to be? Those are two different things. And you and I look at it more analytically by saying, we've seen this before, nothing's come about it from it. And we actually have a true model that we can look at. But in the actuality, when you see something, when you open up your app and you look at it and says, oh my God, I could become an employee, I don't want that. And they're appealing to the feeling side, to the emotional side, by saying, we want to do this, or we don't want this. This could potentially be an issue if you do it this way or not. And that's the whole thing when it comes down to it. It's you got to remove yourself from the emotional side, because that's what they're appealing to when it comes to those screenshots that we were showing. They're showing the feelings, they're showing the emotional side, and they're tying to it, and they're trying to attack on that. But if you remove that from yourself, and if you look at it from, more of the hard data or the facts, or, you do the research behind it, which most people unfortunately won't. But if you did, you would have looked at it and said, look, I'm getting a pay raise. I may be making 60 cents a mile. I'm going to make $1.50 a mile now. Look at that. I just made 2.5 times more. My time rate has gone from, maybe 12, 13 cents to whatever it was going to be. And, right there, you should say, hey, look, I'm going to get more money. That's a good thing. Sure, if I have to take 10%, 20% less rides because maybe there's more drivers on the road, maybe there's, too many drivers and not enough rides, the supply and demand, maybe I went down in 10, 20%. But here's the thing, for the rides that I'm taking, I'm making now more than what I would have lost by keeping it at the same. And also with the amount of ride supply demand differences, I would be making more. Again, this is where you got to appeal to, the analytical side. But the problem is it's hard to overcome that when you're looking at it from an emotional angle.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And last thing that you said a couple times previously, which I want to mention and to finish the segment, is, higher rates, no quests, no BS, games with the variability of of incentives, none of that stuff. Just give people the $1.50 a mile, 60 cents a minute in Seattle. Don't give anything else. Trust me, everybody will be driving for you without any complaints. So all these games that we don't need to play these games. This is a simple business, picking up point A, dropping off point B. Pay what you're paying in Seattle, adjust it to inflation nationwide. Obviously, Arkansas is not the same as Seattle. They have very high inflation rates there, but adjust it to inflation rates or cost of living. Do that adjustment, pay people a flat, decent, living that they can make a living at. Nobody would complain and drive. Nobody would go to the legislatures. None of this would happen. But they're choosing to do it this way, and the war continues, man. I mean, lose a battle here and there, but the war continues, and I'm sure both these sponsors, Stephanie V. Hill in Colorado, and Senator Fatah are going to come back and introduce these bills again. And we'll see where the game goes next year. Maybe they'll give up the rights and get the higher rates. So we'll see.
Well, I think what we'll do right now is we'll do a little giveaway for $25 gift card. Yeah, this is Show Me the Money. We're going to show you the money. And in having Harry coming on for a little bit, instead, we're going to do hashtag Harry. So for all those who already put hashtag SMTMC and hashtag money, you lost. Because it's hashtag Harry, bitches. So, yeah, if you want,
can I go in? Can I put my hey,
I don't know. I think we'll have to talk to the boss on that one to see if that'll work or not. But yeah, put in hashtag Harry and all lowercase. This is for the live chat only. For those who are listening on the replay, if you want your chance at winning, you got to be part of the live. Sorry. Because I do see some comments on there that says hashtag SMTMC or hashtag money. It's like, no, sorry. It's not going to work. So yeah, there's that, just to let you guys know. And then, yeah, let's move on to our next segment, which is talking about, is Uber and Lyft becoming more transparent?
I saw this in my app. I was like, holy shit. Now, this is from the Lyft app. When with Lyft, the transparency left the building like 3 years ago. But with this new guy, I'm telling you, Chris, every single day there is a change. And I go like, wow, this is exactly what we wanted to see. What is this now? This is a total breakdown of your trips, their service fee. On the Lyft app, about 3 years ago, they went to complete non-transparency. Basically, you will do all your trips, make your money. And then you would have to wait almost like 9 days until the next pay period, 9 to 10 days, I think. They would send you a PDF, which was as convoluted as possible. You need a math degree to figure the damn thing out to see what Lyft made. Lyft's take rate, basically, right? Now, no more. Everything is here. On trip by trip, they're breaking it down. They're showing you the receipt. They're showing you all the stuff. And I'm going like, boom, there's more. Beautiful. So enjoy it, people. So I'm doing actually a guarantee this week on Lyft. And, I looked at my receipts. They're all there. The length, the duration, what I got paid, what Lyft made. I'm like, hey, thank you. Much appreciated. That's it. See how they break it down on trips? Just like, actually, this looks very similar to the Uber receipt, doesn't it? Your earnings, ride earnings, bonuses, the whole breakdown is there. I'm like, hey. Okay.
Again, it's that mycelium that's going in and taking what's working or what's showing. How can we show that? So the take, it seems like it's lower. Oh, third-party fees, insurance and government fees and all that. That's what we can put on there. So yeah, you know what though? I get it. I'd much rather see, the breakdown. So I know, hey, what, okay, $14.20 towards insurance and expenses. $23 in taxes and government fees. Come on, government, get your hand out of my pot.
Well, but depending what city you're. But the other thing is, airport trips and stuff are under that too. So if you like, every airport has a different surcharge or whatever that Lyft doesn't touch. Now, out of the total, your earnings were 86%, but then third-party fees are those, by the way. Maybe tolls and your airport fees. So according to this, Lyft made $20 out of the 145. What is that? 10, 15%, 14%, right? So I mean, I don't know. If you don't believe this, then you're going to say, I don't believe it. Then I don't know what else to say.
Well, here's the thing. This is what people focus on. The passenger paid 145 and I only got paid 86.79. That's what people focus on.
Yes.
And I get
true.
it. Like that you want to know where the rest is. I
Well,
get
that's like
100% get
60%.
that.
So that's 60
But now, but now you're seeing the third party fees, and that's going to be in the insurance, the expenses, taxes, government fees, airport fees, city pickup fees, because some cities have fees that tied to it. Whatever thing is there, it's in there. So it kind of breaks it down a little bit more so you can see it, which is a good thing. It just gives you that more ability
I think this is great. I think it's great. It's better than waiting 9 days for the PDF that nobody could figure out. Seriously.
Well, what if it could go 4 weeks?
Yeah. Well, no. Uber used to go. Well, Uber went from being like transparent, like Lyft is now, with all the breakdown. Immediately after the trip ended, they go, man, too many people are looking at the receipts. Our take rates are 50%. They can't figure out the math. Because look, you're 100% right. You said passenger paid 20, I got paid 10, Uber made 50%. Well, you didn't actually, because then you have all the costs involved to create the platform, run the platform, insurance, and commercial insurance, all that stuff, right? So people look at those two simple numbers like, oh, they're taking 50%, 60%. I'm like, sometimes they are, but in general, they're not. So long story short, they went to the website for you to go chase your trips to see how much the passenger paid. And then now they're back. Now they go, well, in your app with a click of the button, you can see what Uber's service fee are going to be. On top of that, if you look, Chris, if you look at the right screenshot, the one on the right, it literally is on every receipt. Look what it says in small print. Uber's total service fee for your ride trips from April 24th to May 22 was negative $47.04. So Uber is losing $47.04 on you as a driver after all the expenses, right? So it's in there on after each trip that updates on a live basis. I mean, how much more transparency you guys want? It's right there. Now, again, I am sure I'm going to get a whole bunch of emails tomorrow. Oh, Serge, you believe what they're putting in there? I'm like, people, they do 2.1 billion trips. They cannot pull shenanigans on shit like this, man. Come on, man. It's too much.
You do realize that they're a publicly traded company, so they have duties that report correctly, and if they're found not to be reporting correctly, then they can get sued by the shareholders, and also the government themselves can put hefty fines on them. Not only that, they are going to be audited. So there's a lot of accounting that does need to be checked and triple checked and all that good stuff. So again, whether you believe it or not, just write down the numbers yourself and see what happens.
I always said, and I got a lot of hate for it, that, hey, man, if you don't believe it, look at your weekly statement. If you don't believe that, go look at your 1099. If you think they're all lies, then I got nothing to come to you with. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because they, like Chris said, they're a public company. They take these numbers, literally roll it into their quarterlies. They did 2.1 billion trips, people. Their top line was $130 billion. It's 40 billion a quarter company. This is B with a B. I mean, they can't freaking pull out too much shenanigans. They will get busted. And one thing I agree with Mike Smith is that, that commercial insurance that they buy, Chris, man, that expensive insurance. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God, yeah, that's
expensive.
That's where I think the numbers could be fudged a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
It is $10.26 for a $40 trip actually going there.
Yeah, I think that there may be some shenanigans there, but we'll see. We're going to look into that next. So yeah, there you go. So I think they're both doing well as far as transparency is concerned, and I'm not against it. Yeah, there's the money.
All right, let's give some money away for all those who thought that it was going to be hashtag money or hashtag SMTMC. Too bad, so sad. We got to throw a little curveball at you. So hashtag Harry. We are going to hit that right now. So sorry if you're not in. I mean, we got 189 people watching and only 54 entries. So hey, no season there. So oh well. All right, let's see who is our winner today. Cindy. Congratulations, Cindy.
Cindy.
You are the winner. So what you can do is email Sergio at therideshareguy.com, and he will get you your $25 gift card. Woo, woo.
Fast pay makes fast friends. Email me before the show. Cindy,
Yes.
All
Cindy
right,
Lather.
welcome to the community. I haven't seen her name before. So yeah, hashtag Harry is done. Please stop putting it because you guys are bumming me out now.
Well, when we announce it, you got to put it in right away. So then that way you can be entered. So that's how it
veto
works.
hashtag Harry now.
All right. But either way, when it comes down to it, let's move on. We've talked about the quest goals. We talked about the bonuses. We talked about the promotions and all that fun jazz.
Yeah.
I've said many a time already, get rid of all the bonuses, get rid of all the quests, pay fairly, pay accordingly for every ride. I don't need to go out there and try to make money because there was a bigger bonus this week than next week. I looked at my thing, it goes from $110 to $185. I still have the rides, by the way. I don't have the other this whole quest goal thing. So I don't have that yet. But when it comes down to it, I just want to get paid the same on each ride. I don't need this game. I don't need this bullshit. Just pay me. Pay me flat. I'm happy that way. I don't need all the other crap.
Yeah.
So with that being said, they decided to change the game a little bit when it came to these quest goals because,
Again.
Yeah. And mostly because of the reason that longer rides were not beneficial. Because if you went out on the rides and took them, well, yeah, it was only one ride. It didn't count. The best way to go is take short rides. You could do 3, 4, 5 an hour on average. And if you had, 50, you could finish that pretty quickly if you knew when to go out, where to go out, and took advantage of that. But when it comes down to these quest goals, now it's done by dollar amount. And that means you have to reach a certain dollar threshold before you'll get the bonus. That includes now longer rides being more beneficial somewhat when it comes down to it. The problem is rate rebalancing, rebalance those rates. So whatever you're trying to go for, you probably would have made it a wash if rates stayed the same. Just my thoughts. I don't have any data to back that up. But if you do some simple math real quick, the percentages actually work out right about there. Yeah. So with that being said, Joe, our contributor, Joe, if you haven't watched this video on Saturday, he did a great video talking about the differences when it came to quest goals, when it came to the ride goals and the ride count goals. And, he did a really good breakdown when it came down to it. And we want to know, what do you think? I already see a couple of things right here. You don't do that bonus F that, and long rides don't help still. A lot of things there when it comes down to it. So more declined. So well, Sergio, if you want to talk about that.
Look, I trust Joe because I think he's a straight shooter. He knows his shit. He knows his numbers, and he doesn't farts around like some other channels. And he puts his numbers down, and math and numbers don't lie, people. I saw one comment, Uber is taking 95% of the tips in their pockets. Come on, man. Whatever. Anyway, so there were trip-based. He did 50 trip-based quests, meaning 50 trips. Like it'll be like 50 for $100, right? You do 50, you get $100. And then the quest goals on the right side is the new dollar quest that I got in LA. Chris has been spared so far. So far, you've been spared.
Yes, I have, thankfully.
Yeah. So on the trip-based quest, obviously his strategy is to medium to short trips. As you can see, his average fare is $7.79. On the quest goals, because you're trying to reach a higher dollar number, now it's forcing you to do more and more longer trips to get to the dollar quest goal faster. And this worked in his case. So I don't think Joe liked it. Everybody go watch that video. I got like 20,000 views in a day. It was just like amazing. So remember when we did this without having this data in front of us, we said, we did like the short one. We're going to work longer. We're going to drive more miles, and we're going to make a little bit less money. Remember, we're going to do a few more trips. A few more hours we'll have to work to get to the dollar goal, and we're going to make a little bit less money. Well, here you go. If this is not that, I don't know what it is. So he ended up working for 16.42 hours with the trip-based quest, 18.36, almost 2 more hours to get to the quest goal. Although he did less trips, he did 44 versus 50. So that means the length and duration of the trip is longer. And that's what exactly Uber wanted. And when they first introduced it, we said, what trips don't get picked up, Chris? And you said long ones. And boom, there you go. They're just doing exactly what this thought he would do. So his online hours, without the promos, whatever he has in his city at the moment, almost $27. The other one is $27.37, so about 40 cents more with the quest goals, but he ended up working 2 more hours. Hourly with promo is, again, $1 more for the trip-based quest. Average tip about the same, similar. Now, here's the killer. I think his profitability took a shit on this new quest because he had to do longer trips to get to the quest goal faster. He drove 339 miles with the trip-based quests. He drove 450 miles with the quest goal quest. So that's about 111 more miles he drove. So if you drive 111 more miles to make the exact same money, that means Uber is accomplishing their goal. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right there, that shows you. You got to drive more and you make less.
Yep. And you guys do this. Do this. Before you guys talk shit on the chat flying here, how many people do this? Do this. This is simple to do. Go ahead. Yep. Compare it before you go, oh, you know, quest goals are bad. I'm like, okay, bad. Now, this guy just proved it. Quest goals are bad. His profitability took a shit. He drove 11 more miles to make equal money, pretty much, and to drive 2 more extra hours on top of that. So I'm going like, there you go. 111 more miles, by the way, you know, that's expensive. It's, you know, I know.
And that'll add up. Not only that'll add up, your gas,
your
cost per mile, all that will go up. I mean, look at 120 miles more, 111 miles more.
Yeah.
You know, that could be in his car. I don't know what he's averaging, but maybe that's 3-4 gallons of gas. Let's say it's $4 there. So that's an extra $16 that he had to spend. He's not bringing that back home.
Well, profitability certainly down. I mean, no doubt about it, right? And if I'm pretty sure his mind is set up that trip-based quests were better. But then, you know, your whole strategy has to change. I mean, he's in Minneapolis, Minnesota, by the way. So I think, you know, driving longer miles and driving 2 more extra hours, granted, doing less trip counts, but making the same amount of money, I think, is a loss. I think these dollar quest goals are no bueno.
Yep. And for anybody who wants to, hold on. If you want to share your thoughts or your opinions,
send me your numbers.
But send the numbers. And then that way we can actually break it down. How much more miles are you driving from the old quest to the new quest? How much are you driving less? I don't see that, but it's very possible. Who knows? But give us the numbers, break it down, and let us see. So then we can, you know, maybe we can highlight that as well. Like I said, I'm on the fence about it. You know, if you come out with the right strategy, it may be more beneficial to you. It's definitely going to be better in certain markets because of just the way that particular market may be set up. I'm on the fence about it. I just don't like these extra promos because what if I don't make that goal? What if something came up and, you know, I was going for it, something came up, you know, my kid got sick, I had taken him to the doctors, whatever it might be, and I couldn't go finish it. And now I'm out all of that bonus when in fact, you just retroactively put them into all the rides that you take, and then you don't have to worry about it. And then that way we're not playing this BS game that, you know, I didn't make the extra bonus or I made the bonus or whatever it is, and everybody gets paid the way they should be without all this extra crap.
Yeah, I think these dollar quest goals would have been great. You know, when the surge meant true surge, in addition to the trip, to the fare, as opposed to included in the fare, then I think you could have sat there, cherry pick bunch of $30, $40 rides, which were available, okay, in the days of the surge being in addition to the fare as opposed to the included in the fare, and maybe some boost and whatever not. If you work the right hours, you could cherry pick and get to your dollar quest faster, probably even drive less miles. But now that's not true either. I mean, everything is being taken away piece by piece by piece by piece. And I'm betting that, you know, this is accomplishing its goal that Uber set out to be. People are picking up, doing more longer trips. It's pretty evident here with the numbers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What would you say? Do you know what Easy Off is?
The what?
Easy Off?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's an oven cleaner, right?
It's an oven cleaner, right?
Yeah.
But it may not necessarily be just an oven cleaner.
Nope. Lifesaver.
Let's get into this story
Yeah.
of driver that sent us this story about using Easy Off to
Yeah, to
stop a
defend herself.
carjacking
Yeah, to
and defend
defend
herself
herself.
and the passenger.
Absolutely. So, this lady was on our female town hall about, I don't know, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. I'm not going to give up her name, but she knows who she is, and you probably know if you guys watch it. So she sent me this. This was like 2 days ago, and I was like, I have to put this in. This also proves other point regarding display rate, obviously. So Sergio, well, I might have to seek an endorsement deal with Easy Off. She's trying to make light of it. The reason for that is last night Easy Off saved the day. I say that jokingly, but what happened was very serious. And if it was not for the oven cleaner, it could have been much worse, or I could have been much worse. About 8:45 p.m. last night, I went to a very family-friendly hotel, which is an adjoining restaurant and bar that has live music, and it's a very popular place for both locals and visitors. I was going to pick up a customer. When I pulled into the parking lot, I saw a young lady to the right of the entrance of the parking garage structure for maintenance vehicles, which also includes a stairwell that leads from the restaurant. So as the roadway curves around there's a little drive area. I pulled into to pick up the young lady. As I pulled up, she was standing there alone. There were many people walking down from the restaurant. Being smart, she went to check my tag exactly before entering the vehicle. I can appreciate that. She was very vigilant. Absolutely. Every passenger should do that. Most of the people from the walkway were still coming through as she got into the back seat. I started to put the car in gear, at which point my doors would automatically lock. Before I could get the gear shifter moved, the front passenger door swung open, and a bearded man just started to reach across towards my phone. I was kind of confused, thinking maybe he was with this young lady I had just picked up. And quite honestly, I thought it was the repo man, as I was late on my car payment. He then started to grab my arm. He was screaming, "Give me your effing phone, give me your effing keys." I moved my hands towards the middle of my console. I keep a small crowbar and the oven cleaner there. So with that in mind, I first intentionally went to grab my weapon, and she's packing, she's in Florida, good for her, and my weapon, but I noticed his eyes watching my hands, and then he came at me more aggressively, grabbing my hair, screaming crazy stuff at this point. Now, this is as scary as it gets. The passenger was still in the back seat at this point. Other than trying to protect her and myself, we both realized this was turning into a carjacking. And then I created a distance by opening my door, jumping out with the can of Easy Off in my hand while spraying towards his face. I just started screaming as people were walking by. A few people ignored me. I was screaming for help, screaming, "Help, robbery." Thankfully, by God's grace, a restaurant manager heard the commotion and came running down the stairs with a group of people. At this point, the guy got out of my car, started running down the street. A chase ensued, but this man was a ghost. So the police were called. Unknown to me, the lady in the back seat had a small blade that she actually cut him with, leaving droplets of blood on my seat, along with multiple sets of fingerprints. And I'm sure a trip to the emergency room in his future, and they don't find him on the streets, they should find him at a hospital somewhere. Don't know what more I could have done in this situation. It happened so quickly that I truly believe any other choice of weaponry would have caused more damage to myself and the passenger. This guy was super strong. I'm pretty sore today. I'm done with rideshare for now. The incident probably had nothing to do with me driving an Uber. But either way, if I don't interact with people, then my worries will be less. I believe I did everything right. It was crazy. It all happened so fast, I was shook. Today, it's actually hitting me a little bit more because the adrenaline kicked in last night, overriding my fears. I always try to see the positive. So with that being said, Easy Off might have been a joke that day on the show with the ladies, town hall, but I've always kept it and never had to use it till last night, and it truly saved me. So I'm telling you guys, get some Easy Off and be safe. So, well, I'm going to give her a name. I'm not going to give her a name, but, we are glad you're okay. We are glad it all turned out okay. And, she did say that during the town hall, and we all laughed. I'm like, come on. We said, what is Easy Off going to do? Well, sure enough, there you go. It did the job.
Yep. Yeah, and it goes to show you that, You can use anything if you need to as a deterrent, but always be vigilant, always be paying attention to what's going on. And luckily, people heard and actually came. Unfortunately, the people that ignored, that is an unfortunate thing in today's society where people are just ignoring what's going on right in front of them. Fear of safety, fear of whatever. But either way, glad that she's okay. Glad that the easy off did what it might not be prescribed to do, but at least was a deterrent in that situation. And one of the other things as we were going through, she said that it could have been the repo man. And I'm like, oh, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, that could be good for Ualett. And like, you could go in there and get your, your car payment. And then you don't have that stress. You can stretch it out over the time. But the easy off aspect of it, it's like, you want to make sure you have something on hand in the event something happens. And you want to make sure that, you have it really somewhere that's going to be easy to get in the event something happens. So, if you have something in your door, right on the side of the door or next to your car seat, if you have like one of those little pouches that you can put something in, or in, the center console, whatever it might be, just make sure you have things there just in case. Wasp net spray is better for distance. Yes, it is. You'll get 15 feet or so on one of those things. So it can really mess with people. So yeah, there's some things there. The whole other thing though is the passenger who had the knife ended up stabbing. Holy crap. I mean,
look, man, this is this very scary situation, obviously. And I know her personally, obviously. And she's not a big woman. I mean, she's skinny and she's in good shape, but fighting a maniac who was probably on some sort of drugs, right? I mean, who knows what the heck was going on there. Thank God it all turned out okay. And this is when you guys need what, Chris? They need a dash cam, bro. I'm telling you, I cannot speak enough of this. And look, I have one, and it's the best $20 I'm spending a month, even when I'm doing deliveries now, or only deliveries. What I'm doing now, Chris? I'm parking in most people's driveways. Like if it's drop at the door or meet at the door, I have to get out of my car. This is my safety zone. You know what I'm saying? So now a lot of the homes in my neighborhood have driveways. So if I see an opening in the driveway, I'm parking in an angle that my dash cam is recording me going to the door. You know what I'm saying? So if it doesn't, obviously I don't have a choice but do what I need to do. But anytime I see a driveway, bro, I'm just pulling in, angling the car to the front door where I'm going to go. It's recording me going all the way there and coming back. And this is a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And we bring up this all the time. We have another safety story that we're going to be talking about in just a minute. But this is definitely something that dash cameras are going to be good for too, because it's going to record everything that's happening. It could be potential deterrence as well in the situation that this driver that we just highlighted, whether that was a deterrent or not, who knows. But in the event that it wasn't a deterrent and things still continued as is, you're going to have that entire interaction on the dash camera that's uploaded to the cloud immediately. And again, with how awesome our friends over at DisplayRide, they are giving us that 20% off with the RSG code. So RSG20 gets you 20% off. So instead of $25 a month, it's $20 a month. And that's going to save you some money, but it's also going to give you a lot of peace of mind, and you can use it as a tax write-off. So make sure you get that if you haven't already. We have a link in the description. And again, use RSG20 so you get that 20% discount. Not only that, hey, Sergio, there's one thing that you didn't know that may be happening, and we'll highlight it here, even for our audience. One of the things that I've been talking about with Abdul was a body camera. So there may be a body camera coming in the near future. It's something that I had recommended already, and Sergio had talked about as well.
I think it'll be the best thing that they could do, because that covers everybody now. The drivers, delivery drivers, last mile drivers, rideshare obviously have the dash cam. I think that would be it'd be the next level. You know what I'm saying? It'll put this company above and beyond anybody, because we know about it. I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago with the Miami driver, right? Delivery driver, they got pulled in the house and butchered them, right? So more stuff is happening to delivery drivers, as much as, it used to be only for rideshare. Not anymore. There are crazy people out there, man. So I think that'll be an amazing idea. I think we need to push as hard as we can to make that happen, man.
Yeah, that would be great. And we'll keep you posted, everybody, if that does happen. I was talking with Abdul, and it seems like he's going to be looking into it.
Yeah.
So it could be a very real possibility coming soon. So we will let you know. Yes, William, death penalty is what they're looking for that particular sociopath who decided to off our good Uber brother out there. So hopefully we'll see the justice that's deserved, but that's up to a court of law and a trial by jury. So we'll see what ends up happening there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into our next story of another letter that came to us. This time,
this was
Cleveland.
even from Cleveland. And Sergio, this Saturday I was driving for Uber around 10:45 p.m. in Cleveland, Ohio, on a major road, Lee Road and Cleveland Heights. So I'm sure whoever is in the chat knows that area. While I was driving an Uber passenger to my destination, someone fired a few BB pellets at my car. While driving, it sounded like real shots. When they hit the glass and doors, customers as well as I freaked out. They pulled out to the side of the road to see the damage. There was some, but nothing major. Called the police to report it, then called Uber's safety number. Dropped off the passenger, continued to drive, where after 10 minutes, they shut down my account that I needed to send them pictures of the car just to make sure that I still qualified to drive for Uber. What? Fuck. Anyway, not a single call or no app messages asking if the rider or I were okay. Not a single person asked if there were any injuries. They only care about my car and protected themselves on future trips and liability, probably. Okay. So this is his, back and forth with Uber chat. Literally, and I read it, and there's nothing that says here that, hey, how you doing? Safety, whatever. All they did was suspend his account to make sure that the car is drivable, Chris. I mean, what the F? Okay. And I'm like, what? That could be the least of your worries if the car is drivable or not. I mean, this guy just made a safety report, man. I don't know.
Yeah, so it comes down to, is the safety functionality in Uber actually what we expected? I mean, we talked about that, a couple of weeks ago with the 911 button and how it wasn't working as it had intended. And this is just kind of the same exact thing. You have something where it's a true health or true safety issue, and they're only caring about shutting down the person's account and making sure the car is okay in order for them to even get back on the platform. Who knows if that driver's even going to go back on the platform?
Yeah, but do you think he wants to go back after he got shot by a BB or whatever? It's a scary moment, obviously. And then now he has to get there, upload his pictures of the car as if he was in a crash, which he wasn't. But Uber is making sure that, the car is okay, it's drivable. So get him back out on the road. I'm like, come on, bro. And this is what Uber support sent the guy. And, the conversation goes back and forth. We don't need to get into the details of that, but they said, yeah, just make sure you take pictures of your car, front, side, back, then we can put you back on the platform. I mean, didn't even ask the guy, it's like, are you okay, first of all, sir? Or do you even want to drive at least maybe for a couple of days because you're shook up anyway? And to me, it's like, this is the times we live in, AI and insensitivity and robots and all this stuff running. I'm pretty sure a human did not decide to do that at Uber. I'm sure it was some AI bot said, oh, well, this is the procedure we're going to do. If somebody says, I got shot at, I'm just going to send them, to take pictures of their cars. So to see if the car is okay to drive. I'm like, yeah, this is where we are in this world. And I guess this is the only way you can do 2.1 billion trips in a quarter.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you could potentially change that. And that could be you actually joining Uber crew.
Okay, people. Okay, this is big. Okay. Now, my prayers need to get answered. I don't want to join Uber crew, but
but I thought you were going to instill that. That was a perfect gateway to go to join Uber crew, is to get the personal touch. So in the event that something actually does happen, a true safety issue, that they'll reach out accordingly. Not, hey, is your car okay? And we're gonna disable your account until that time.
Yeah. So this is not a joke, people. I took a huge one for the team. I applied to Uber crew. Okay. Now, if they know anything about me, first of all, Uber crew is not run by Uber. It's run by a third party, independent party. Okay. I even did a 1-minute video, Chris, short, and uploaded it. Like, why do you want to be Uber crew? I said so many nice things about Uber, in Uber Crew. I was trying not to laugh because I was lying through my teeth. And
I was
here it
gonna
is.
say, how'd you get through that?
I don't know. So that was my audition video, I guess. Audition. So just to prove you people, I'm trying. Okay. Thanks for applying to be Uber crew member. We have received your application. So I'm not BSing you people. I'm taking one for all of you, and I'm going to try to make it to Uber crew. Now, if I keep my sanity there, I don't know. Is there a contract or some shit that I don't know?
Probably. I'm gonna say when I
there?
did the Lyft Driver Advisory Council, I think that was like 2019 or something like that. There was a thing that you had to sign. It was for a year.
Yeah. So, yeah, street level strategy will be in touch with you shortly as we complete the application review process. This was, I think this was like 3 days ago, maybe.
Oh,
so
snap.
Yeah, there we go. I will keep you guys posted. Taking one.
We're gonna have to compare notes on Uber Crew, how it's different from the DAC over at Lyft, and if it's anything. But honestly, the DAC was a complete joke when it came down to it.
If I make it, how long do you think I'll last? A week?
I think that you'll get until they see who you really are, and then they're gonna be like, crap, we got to get rid of them.
So I applied. Okay, here we go. This is the joke of the week right there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, should I even? But then I go, yeah, maybe I can go change some of these Kool-Aid drinkers over there. Because I've been to part of a couple of the last 2 live Uber crew meetings or town hall or whatever they call it. It's complete Kool-Aid hour. Completely.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go in there and change some stuff. I go like, Harry applied. I don't know. I don't think so. Harry's.
I don't know. We'll see.
I'm just lower level employee. Harry's high level employee.
We'll see. Keep us informed. You probably won't know for a couple of weeks.
Okay,
but we'll see what happens. So
if I make it, I'll be wearing my Uber hat, and
well, we'll see. Either way. So we got a couple of funny things here. First thing,
is your voice okay?
No, not really. I told you I'm sick, man. It's that shit that's going. So
all right, let me clear my throat. I'll do this. I got this. I don't know where I got it. Somebody emailed this to me. So on the left, it's from the DoorDash app. My Uber driver was dashing during my ride. So this guy is, we call it dirty apping. Okay. Now I have done dirty apping, but that's in between 2 delivery apps. People, stop this silliness. You can't have a passenger in the car. Basically, let me read this. Like this title says, my Uber driver asked me if it was cool once I got into the car, if he stopped to pick up a DoorDash order. I was feeling uncomfortable, so I just said, yeah. And he proceeded to also just drop it off. So this lady is paying for an Uber trip, but then this guy is doing a DoorDash trip, or delivery in the meantime. Now, I don't know if it's
double mileage there.
Now talk about extended significant more miles. Remember the significant more miles?
At that point, there better be no adjustments.
Yeah, better be no.
I'm sorry, I'm on Uber's side there. Don't adjust up that one.
Yeah, man. How is this possible? People, stop doing this silly shit, man. What's going on in this world? I mean, this is exactly what Richard is saying. This is exactly what Richard is saying.
Hold on.
Food and put people in the car.
With that, yeah. With that being said, I understand the difference when it comes to the time and mileage that would be extended because you're doing a DoorDash run on your order. On your ride. Here's the problem, though, that it's not the driver's fault for doing this. It's the company's fault for making the driver do this. I'm going to spin it around a little bit. The driver was the victim here, and it was the exploitation of these gig companies that are paying them so low that he has to try to dirty app in order to make the money that he needs to make, maybe in the time that he needs to make it in. So, you know what? Here's the thing. You want that to stop? Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, Spark, all these, pay accordingly. It's pretty simple.
But this guy multi-apping, bro. But he's multi-apping at the wrong time. He's
Oh yeah,
multi-apping
definitely.
with a passenger in the car. I'm like, come on now, man.
Yeah,
And then
that
the poor
mm,
passenger says, "Edit." He was he was more so demanding than asking me. So the guy was like, "Like it or not, we're gonna go pick up this DoorDash order." I was like, "What's going on, man?" I already did report the issue on to Uber. I'm just here to share my experience. So if this happens to you, people, please tell the driver, stop, get out of the car, and report, because these are the drivers that are giving the rest of you, us drivers, a bad look. This is unacceptable. It's just not acceptable.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you can do all the dirty apping you want. If you're Grubhubbing and Uber eating and door dashing, sure, pick up a Uber Eats order, pick up a DoorDash order, go in the same direction here and there. You can figure it out. Everybody does that. But to
yeah.
have a passenger in the car to go to a restaurant, pick up food, drop the food off before you drop off passengers, come on, man. What is this happening?
That's a problem.
That's too much.
So that's a problem right there. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
But either way, then the screenshot next to that, I see this pop up all the time on Facebook, and it's the picture of Vin Diesel and Fast. I believe this is Fast and Furious. So it's like the 6th or 7th one, and then it says Google Maps arrival time 5:46, me outside at 5:39. And that for me is 100% accurate. I always look at the ETA and I'm like, how fast can I beat that in? So I don't know if anybody else out there is like that when it comes down to it. But every time I see this, I just chuckle, because that's literally me to a T, where it's like, I'm going to get there faster than I'm supposed to. Unless I have a passenger in the car, then it's a little bit different. But when it comes to the ETA getting there, that's a different story.
No, I don't do it. I used to do it. I don't do it anymore. I'm like, hey man, everybody waits. I'm driving. I'm breaking laws. Like, I have a 12 for 185 guarantee this week on Lyft. Thank you, Mr. Risher. Much appreciated.
Oh, so is that how I got to get the Lyft ones? I got to suck up to them?
Yeah, you have to suck up to them. Yeah. And then I guarantee you now, okay, I'm going to send it to you. You're going to be jealous. Trust me, when they send you one during the week, they send you one for the weekend. My weekend, I'm guessing it'll be like 22 for 400-ish, somewhere in that range, or 385-ish. So I'm going to knock that out too. But so far, I've done 10 trips, and I've only made $41. How much is Lyft going to lose on that? I don't know, but we'll see.
A lot. Enough.
Yeah, enough. Yeah, a lot. Yeah. And I was doing Uber Eats at the same time yesterday while I was waiting for Lyft trips. All right. Now,
Nice.
this is the funny part. Well, actually, this is funny, sad. I don't know. What do you want to call these? Funnies, sad? This is from San Bernardino.
I think this is what we need to do is this accept or deny territory?
Oh, well, okay. All right.
I think we need to empower the ants to allow them to say no. Give them the permission to say no on crappy rides.
If you say any of these, okay. If you say yes to any of these, I will find you personally. I will shoot you. This this is unacceptable. Okay.
This is now, the hashtag.
We have a county east of me called San Bernardino County. Okay. Which I was in this weekend for my son's soccer tournament, 120 miles each way. But this driver sent me multiple screenshots, and I'm like, I got to pick the best of the clan here, best of the best here, okay? Here's an Uber X trip, 5-star passenger, 10.3 miles away, 16 minutes away, 16.1 mile trip for a total of 26.5 miles, with a total of 41 minutes for $11.82. This is California, people.
That's Prop 22 money right there.
That's shit ton of Prop 22 money, baby.
Oh my God.
Because you know what? See? Brilliant. He's brilliant. He thought about it. Now, this trip is not going to be $11.82 to you guys. It shows $11.82, but under Prop 22 money, that 41 minutes is going to get him about $15 just on time, because it's active time. And there's going to be 34 cents adjustment now, thanks to people here, as opposed to 30 cents. So this trip is probably going to pay, let's see, 15 plus 26 miles, 7.5, 22.5. It'll actually be double under Prop 22 if you guys had Prop 22. But that's not the idea. The idea is This is a horrible situation here. This is real.
Yeah.
Please do not go near this thing. Okay. Here's the second one. Top tipper rider. Bullshit. And then this is better than the first one, I think. 17.4 miles away. Now, I am not sure how the algorithm does this matching, Chris. Uber, 33,000 donkeys over there, and this is what you guys are sending drivers out?
No, you didn't hear they're doing AI now, so they don't even need the coders there anymore. They're just doing AI.
To send some poor driver a trip that's 17 miles away?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So 17.4 miles away, 18 minutes. Trip is 26 and a half miles. 26 and a half miles for 32 minutes. So 50 minutes in total duration. And
about 50
44
miles.
miles in duration distance for $17.44.
Oh, yeah. That's a decline all day long.
In what world, people? Please don't do these.
All right. Definitely don't do this. This is the garbage we've been talking about. The lowball offers. You don't want to take this. This is where you got to look at it and say, look, this is not worth my time. This is not worth my worth. You got to know your worth again. We've talked about that. There was actually an article that just came out that I think I sent you that, Sergio.
Yes, you did. I read it. It's a great article.
Yeah. And it was talking about knowing your worth. So maybe we'll have to highlight that on the show, do a segment on knowing your worth. And hopefully that will help you so you don't have to look at it and say, oh, I got to drive 45 minutes and 44 miles to make 17.44, because you're going to lose that in gas right there for the most part. And, you know, your costs and all of that associated, you're going to be probably losing money on that ride. But here's the other side of the coin. That was the Uber side. We're going to show you Lyft in just a minute. Now, we've been talking good things about Lyft when it comes to what they are providing drivers, when it comes to information that they're showing, when it comes to you know, more just better experience overall on the app. But what it doesn't explain, and what we haven't thanked them for or anything, is any type of pay increase, because quite frankly, we haven't seen any better pay on the Lyft platform since Risher has come around. We've only seen, you know, a couple of good things that are good here and there. But when it comes to some of these trips, and David Risher or Lyft, if you're watching this, this is so appalling that words don't even, I can't even put into words how shitty of offers these are. I'm going to go through them real quick. We got two screenshots here. This is just the pickup. 47 minutes to the pickup, which is 34.1 miles away. And the trip itself is 23 minutes and 18.6 miles. So add that together, well over an hour of time just to do this. And if you add the 34 miles and the 18.6 miles, you're at 52 or 53 miles. And your pay is $17.74. Holy crap. No, that's horrible. What is that, like 30 cents a mile that you're actually getting comped for? And that doesn't even include time?
You know, one gentleman is right. It says pay includes pickup. Is that like the joke of the year or what?
Yeah. Like,
thank God pay includes pickup.
How are you getting the pickup? I mean, like 14 cents for the pickup?
This next one's better.
Yeah. So the next one, listen to this. So it's 57 minutes to the pickup at 45.6 miles. And the trip itself is 22 minutes or 16 miles. So again, if you add it up, an hour and 20 minutes just to take that trip. And you're also going 61.6 miles for $13.62. You gotta be shitting me. So David Risher, Lyft, if you're watching this, words can't express the disgust that I have when I'm looking at these screenshots, and the fact that you don't compensate drivers to go to the pickup when it's 45 miles or 34 miles away, almost an hour or 45 minutes out of the way, to go pick somebody up, which is absolutely appalling and disgusting. How the hell do you expect somebody to turn on your app and say, oh, I'm going to go take a couple of Lyft rides today because they're going to see this and they're going to be like, no fucking way.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, I trust this guy because he even doesn't send him to me on the RSG email. He has my personal email. He sends them to me once in a while. Harry talks with this guy. I trust these screenshots. These are real. He goes, Serge, look at these. You know, you get a ton of them. So he responded. I go, are these real? He goes, yeah. He goes, they're my app. And he goes, I don't know what was there that night that he works like the night shift between, let's say, 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. And he goes, there must not have been any drivers, you know, anywhere. And I'm telling you, this is not like in the middle of the boondocks, in the middle of nowhere. This is San Bernardino County. It's not like, there's like 8 people in the whole town. This is unbelievable, right? So I'm going like, well, shit. Yeah, I guess we're not teaching the algorithm much, are we? So, Mr. Risher, you know, this is appalling. This is unacceptable. I'm going to tweet these with your, with Lyft and David Risher's tags. Please take a look at this. This is unacceptable. I mean, no, this is beyond unacceptable. I don't know what this is. So
that's called charity. So please, people, don't take that. Again, know your worth. I mean, if you're in here, chances are you're not going to accept that. You're going to be smart and say, I'm losing money taking that ride.
I mean, under Prop 22, the second one would have paid probably 25 or maybe 27, right?
Yeah, but still,
you have to wait 2 weeks
not even
to get
worth
the Prop 22 money, by the way. You have to wait 2 weeks to get the Prop 22 money. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's not even worth it. And then the other side of the coin, though, is doesn't it average out? So it doesn't necessarily go based on ride and say, oh, here for that time, that's what you're going to get. They're going to average it over the 2 weeks. So if your other rides are acceptable, you may not even see that Prop 22 money.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, if you're dumb enough, sorry, people, but this has got to come now. This is the end of the show. If you're dumb enough to take these, you deserve what's coming your way. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they'd be on the platform much longer because they would be losing money instead of taking money. So maybe they do need to take it, and then they won't go on the platform anymore or something. Then more drivers who will cherry pick and all that will stay on. So I don't know. We'll see. Either way, now I came across this just as a pretty funny joke. Somebody stole the plates. And this is the weird, wild thing when it comes to legislation and laws and stuff like that. So this person, again, lost his plates. He's asking to be pulled over. So he said, motherfuckers stole my plate, called 911. They wouldn't send anyone out. So he went to the DMV, but he put BMV. So I'm not really sure what that's about, but they need an officer to sign the paperwork. So it says, please pull me over. Oh, I came across this and I'm just laughing my ass off when I saw that.
Oh my God, bro. This is, this is called stupid as stupid does, bro. This is from Forrest Gump.
Yeah. So, I mean, that I came across and I thought that was hilarious.
That is hilarious.
So now there were a couple of comments that I came across over the last couple of days. So we're going to just go over them real quick. It was either the standalone videos or whatever it was. So thanks for keeping the comments coming. We do see the live chat. Sometimes we don't respond, but we still do look at it. And, if we see some questions or something that's pertinent, we try to get to it right away. Or we'll just kind of like chuckle in the background at what you guys are saying, whether it's fun or not. But with that being said, before we get into the couple of things, we do want to put in the next thing for getting some money, and that's going to be hashtag SMTMC. So put in hashtag SMTMC right now. You could potentially win another $25. So make sure you get that in, and we'll do our comments, and then we'll do our drawing. We'll wrap this sucker up. So
and
with that being said,
have Chris go get some tea.
Yeah, right. All right. So here's a comment from John. This was when we were talking about Sergio changing your mind regarding the new Uber Quest bonus. This is a segment that just went out recently. And John had a pretty good insight, at least in my opinion, when he said there are creating 2 different categories in each market. Some are bonuses on trip count and others are on dollar amount, which is true. I am still on the trip bonus, but there are other people in the Buffalo market who are on the Quest Gold bonus. So there are definitely two different bonuses going on at the same time in each market.
Shit.
So that is some true insight right there. So he said those on trip count will get bombarded with long distance trips, and those on the dollar bonus will get bombarded with short trips or the minimum fare trips, thus making it more difficult for everyone to hit the bonus. Screw Uber or F Uber.
That's the next test coming up.
John,
algorithmic wage management right there. If that's not 100%, I don't know what it is.
100%. I can 100% verify that there are bonuses on trip count because I still have it. I just looked at my weekend. Literally, I get the weekend bonus just before we go live here. Still same trip. It's 60 and 10 for the top, and it's still the trip bonus. But there are other people in my market who I see on our Facebook pages who are getting and showing the other one, the Quest goals. So this makes so much sense if that's the case.
Absolutely.
I have to pay more attention to the rides that are coming in. My market is kind of unique because it's actually pretty decent. But the problem is right now the schools are out, so it calmed down quite a bit. We're definitely in the summer slowdown now. Now that schools have let out, colleges that is, so like UB, Buff State, some of the other big colleges around, they are all out. So it's much quieter. So it is what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, that's something we're going to have to test out. So John, thank you for that comment. The next comment said he walked away from Uber once they started putting in timeout after declining 3 rides. It was over for me. That is ridiculous. Badass 1G. I completely agree. It is 100% ridiculous and a bunch of bullshit. And hey, if you got to walk away, I get it. I 100% am with you there when it comes down to it. And you know what? Instead of walking away from Uber, may I make a suggestion? Turn your app on, go in timeout, and just wait it out. Even if you're not going to take rides, just let it go. Let it go. High up the systems.
Go to Lyft.
Go on the Lyft platform. Give Lyft rides. Go on food delivery. Give food delivery a chance.
I swear to God, I did that exactly yesterday. I wasn't going to do ride share. I was going to do Lyft. I was going to do 12 trips. Both apps were on, Uber Eats and Uber Connect and Lyft ride share. When I got the ride share trip, it took me towards a place that I would get an Uber ping. I did the 10 trips. I have 2 left. And then while I was doing the 10 trips, I did 5 deliveries. I made like $86 on deliveries. I'm like, hey, you don't want it? That's the way you got to do it. It was like, to me, it was like all win-win. You guys got to do this. I mean, don't be one app's bitch, man. Just screw them, It's like, come on. So,
yeah. Well, Corey just put a good comment. He said timeout is only when they don't need you. I got the message and they still received a ride offer. And yeah, I mean that.
But why even do it?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Why do it?
Why do it? Like,
either way, like I say, hey, if you're gonna call it quits or something, just throw your app on, go in timeout, let it go, and once you get back, continue letting it go. Hey, it's only going to screw up their systems, and then they're going to have to change it. So it's a great way for drivers to band together by doing nothing. I mean, look what happened with Bud Light. Hey, they're down what, 30%? Well, and they're getting on both sides of the aisle now. So let's Bud Light that shit. And then Badass then went on and said, and now with a new bonus structure, it would be absolutely not worth for me. I have to stay in a certain area or my whole night gets thrown off. If you live in a major busy area, then maybe it'll work better for you. And yeah, depending on the market, I'm not sure what market this person is in. But if it's not going to work out for them, hey, you got to figure out what's going to work for you. And best of luck to you as well. So keep us posted, Badass. I love the Lambo too in the picture. I don't know if you can see that or not. But
well, you're not Ubering with that, I'm sure. So there you
go. And then we got one last comment to highlight, and that was from the Uber driver pay per mile today versus 6 years ago. This was a short that was done recent, I don't know, a little while ago, but it says what happened to the 75-25% split of whatever the rider pays. Whew, that's long gone. That was changed in what, 2017, 2018 or something like that. Long gone. And then it says, in all these states and
I was
jurisdictions,
much
if they,
younger then.
well, you know what though, he makes a good. The reason why I pulled this one up is because what he put right here, and it says, and to all these states and jurisdictions, if they are setting taxi rates at $2 to $2.40 per mile and 35 cents to 50 cents a minute, why can't rideshare drivers get the $1.40 a mile and 35 cents a minute, and then cap the surge to say 3x or 4x? Look, he makes perfect sense. If taxi rates are at a certain percent or a certain rate, whether it's $2 to $2.40 per mile and 35 to 50 cents per minute, why can't rideshare rates be at $1.40 a mile or 35 cents a minute?
Because the $1.40 and 35 cents is asking for himself. So Uber doubles that. Uber is has to charge $2.50 to $3 a mile to the passenger, and that's the problem. So we had $1.45 and 34 cents in Minnesota. We couldn't do it. Okay. And sometimes, Uber charges $5 a mile. I do these trips that I get paid well, let's say 3 miles for $12 or some shit. And then I'm thinking, how much did the passenger pay? Probably like $6-7 a mile. So it's way above cab rates, right? But people are paying these ridiculous fares because of the convenience or whatever the heck it is. And it's all good. I get the comment, but it's not as simple as, because everybody's thinking for themselves, thinking, okay, as long as I get paid $1.40 and 35 cents, I'm fine. No, but Uber has to double that to sell it to the customer, and then they may lose the elasticity. So,
yeah, but on the flip side, they're getting paid more in Washington than that $1.40 and 35 cents.
Yeah,
they're getting paid more than that. Yeah. So, right there, that goes to show you that yes, it can be done, and it doesn't have to be 30 cents or so a mile. I actually gotta do the math on that, because that's so insane. That one ride that we showed, that hour and 20 minutes, and they were getting paid $17 for it. What
crazy.
Happened to that active time of 36 an hour? That surely ain't gonna happen. That's literally 2 hours worth of active time, and you're making 17. That's what you should be. If you're saying 36 on active time, you double that. No, you're getting half of that. Come on.
Yeah.
So
those were ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. And poor drivers, bro. I mean, you see one of those, what do? You just start the car and go home. I mean, it's just you give up. You can't fight. I don't know. You can't fight that.
But either way, all right, we are going to do our hashtag SMTMC. So I threw you a curveball at the beginning with hashtag Harry, which is already over. So I know somebody put it in there. I should buy Lyft. Oh, I don't know if the stock price is at its low yet. I can't say that. If that's what you're talking about when it comes to it, but I wouldn't buy the company. I wouldn't have any interest in it. But in any event, hashtag SMTMC. Let's see who is our $25 gift card winner. Dun, 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 dun. Reddit Bank. Oh, look at that. The bank is making bank with $25. All right, Reddit Bank. Make sure you hit up Sergio at therideshareguide.com. You are able to collect your prize with $25. So appreciate that. And yeah,
you're all good. I mean, Chris was under the weather. He has allergies and viruses and all kinds of things. I sent him through the internet.
Oh my God, dude. That mycelium is going right through the speakers.
He hung in there. Give Chris a hand. He hung in there. And everyone, I want you to check your LA Times, whatever you are in the country around the globe, tomorrow. LA Times. You guys will see what I'm talking about. And come back next week. We will show you guys exactly how that went down, screenshot by screenshot. And that's it. We're proud of what we did. Harry came on. I don't think he added much. I think we lost him a few more subs. So everybody got the $25. Everybody got the money. You have 1 day to send us to Show Me the Extra Mile Sunshine Award candidate. One, but please do it. And after that, it's done. We're done. Let's go home.
All right. With that being said, yes, we'd like to shout out our sponsor for today, and that is Ualett. So if you need some cash advance money for a bill, a car payment, something, check out the link in the description below. If you use Ride10, you'll get 10% off your first deal, which is always a great thing. Save some money on that. And then if you don't have a dash camera yet, we highly recommend the display one or the display ride one, because the upload, all the perks, the bells and whistles when it comes to it. And if you enter RSG20 on that, you're going to get 20% off. One of the only places I believe that Display Ride has a special deal with. So we truly appreciate that for giving you guys, the viewers, that special discount. We want to make sure that we offer it to you because it is a great dash camera where instead of $25 a month, it's $20 a month. And on top of that, it's tax write-off, but you will have your peace of mind. Beyond that, if you have some crazy things that are going on with whatever, if you see some crazy screenshots that could top that Lyft screenshot, if you have some crazy stories or anything that you want to share with us, hit up Sergio at sergio@therideshareguy.com. And with that being said, have a good night, everybody.
Peace. See you next week.